Welcome to the Complex Couple Podcast, where we strive to find common ground in an uncommon world. Your hosts are Keith, a retired U.S. Army and Marine Corps veteran, and myself, Jennifer, a life coach for divorced women ready to create their next chapter. Together, we are the Complex Couple. Tune in and you'll see why. Who's kicking us off, me or you?
You can kick us off.
All right. Welcome to the Complex Couple Podcast. It's been a while. We're back. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Keith.
And we are wearing matching Complex Couple sweatshirts.
We are.
Except mine's black and yours is blue.
Mm-hmm. Black and blue.
Black and blue.
Which I could have ended up like that yesterday if I wasn't careful. But we'll get more of that later.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to be very honest. Jennifer did not want to do this podcast right now. She wasn't in the mood. We just had something tired. Right?
Yeah.
But I knew we hadn't done anything for last month.
For a month, probably.
And I knew it was time for us to get off our ass and do something, because it's easy for me to say that because she does all the editing and the uploading. And I just, try to make
She just sits here and looks pretty and talks, and then I do everything else.
So let's get right to it, Jennifer. Well,
let's start by saying where we are.
Okay.
In case people are wondering, we left Maine, we're in Rhode Island, and we're staying in an apartment with friends of ours. They have an apartment at the basement level of their home. They're living above us. And this is what you see. This is where we are. And we've been here since almost the end of September.
Yeah, I've been here since September 23rd.
Yeah, and I think I came down on the 25th. Mm-hmm. And since then, we've been doing some updates, or Keith has been doing updates to the van with a friend of his. We've got a bed. Mm-hmm. Woohoo! Yeah. And now they're working on insulation and wall panels. We bought a cabinet. It's actually a bathroom vanity that's going to be our kitchen.
Mm-hmm. It's going to work perfect for that. It's perfect size.
Sits right behind the driver's side seat, the driver seat, and the bed against the wall. So we're very, very excited, and we hope to sleep in it.
We can get it done this week. That's the goal, is finishing it hopefully by this weekend, because we are running out of time as far as when I have to leave on the boat. And
I don't even know if we've told them about the boat.
Yes,
maybe we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in a second. But anyways, it's going to look nice when it's done.
We're so excited.
Mm-hmm. We want to sleep in it. I want to sleep in it before I leave on the boat.
Yeah,
with my beloved, because that's why we got the damn thing. That's my spouse. So let's move on.
All right. So do you want to talk about what happened in our lives yesterday, or do you want to talk about the plan after the election? Where do you want to go next, and where do you want to end?
Okay. I think let's talk about the plan first.
Okay. So the plan is to spend the winter in Florida, we think. That's the current plan. We're not going to leave until after the election so that we can get a pulse on what's happening across the country.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that?
Not really, because I don't think anyone really knows. There's probably going to be some issues here and there. I could be wrong. It could be worse than that, but I'm going to hope for the best. But until we kind of see what's going on, not just that, we also have, you're seeing a spike in COVID-19. So, that could cause some travel restrictions, especially if you want to sleep somewhere, they could tighten down a little bit. It's hard to say what's going to happen. So we're going to wait to hear or to see what's transpiring.
Well, that's when we'll make our final decision. But the current goal is to spend the winter in Florida and the Panhandle, where it's a little more isolated. There's not a lot of tourists. In my mind, and I've only been there once, it's a lot like down East Maine, where it's rural. There's not a lot of people. And the twist, or the complex part of this plan, is that Keith is going to Florida by boat, and I will be driving the van, and we will meet up there, and hopefully along the way at a marina or two.
Yep, that's the plan. So it'll take about 3.5 weeks for us to take this boat down to the Gulf of Mexico, and that will give Jennifer time to do some of her traveling, maybe catching up with some of her people, and some writing. And of course, I'm not going to have much time besides driving the boat and sleeping.
So maybe we should just give a little context as to why you're taking a boat.
Yeah, we can do that.
Go for it.
Okay, so I have a friend of mine who owns the house that we're currently in right now, that I've known for over a decade, who has been an owner of 4 boats most of his life. He's had boats in his life. But anyways, he ended up getting a really nice boat about a month and a half ago, and his plan was to bring it back to Rhode Island, which we did, and to make any repairs on it which it needed, which we've pretty much almost completed those, and then to sail it to Florida, where he's going to keep it year round, so he can use it as a vacation spot, maybe 3 months out of the year.
Sail, it might be a little misleading because it's not a sailboat.
It's not a sailboat; it's a power yacht.
Yeah.
So
for context,
I should say we're going to pilot it down there on the water. So it'll take a month or so, but once it gets down there, that's where the boat will remain, for indefinitely, I guess. And I'll have the opportunity to live on it with Jennifer and Anubis a few months out of the year, if we want to. But
so that's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
So next.
All right, let's dive into a little sticky situation that we found ourselves in yesterday, shall we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Long pause.
Well,
where do we start?
We're sharing this because we want to be transparent as possible, right? Now, Jennifer is an introvert, and she's very, I don't want to say she's shy, but she's typically very quiet, when it comes to talking about anything that we feel is private, like maybe an argument or something along those lines. We don't share that with a lot of people, in the sense that we just don't blabber about. But we talked about this just a little while ago.
I think especially if it involves other people. We don't like to tell stories that where other people are involved, or past exes, or things like that, parents.
Yes.
And so those are the stories that make me uncomfortable. Yeah. But this story doesn't involve anyone else.
No, this is just basically us, and we're just sharing it. So in case you haven't been through something like this, which is probably not true.
Unlikely.
But yeah, we're just being transparent because we, not to make light of it, but to show that, shit happens and you bounce back. So I'll give you basically the background was, I had an off day yesterday, and I had some anxiety that started like in the morning. It happens to a lot of people. And my oldest daughter had contacted me in the morning, requesting some money from me, asking me for some help. And I didn't have it in my account at that time. And I had to say no. And that just kind of like created this layer on top of other things, which was causing me a little anxiety. I didn't have a good flow yesterday. So after kind of a long day of working on the van and then getting back here, I walked in, Jennifer was still out. So I was trying to do a few things, and Anubis had been a handful yesterday. And so I was a little bit like, I just wanted to sit down and read my book and chill out. And it didn't go that way. And then,
and I was doing my own thing. I was at the local state park hanging out. I did some writing. I just sat under my tree that I love, and I walked around, and I was in a really good mood. Yeah. I was really happy. And it was getting dark. It was clouding up. And I thought, I'm going to go home. Along the way, I picked up a 6-pack of beer, Keith's favorite beer. Yeah. And I walked in the house all happy and expecting Keith to be happy too. And he was not. Let's just say. He was agitated. Yeah. He was agitated because he couldn't find his flashlight.
But that wasn't the real, let's be honest, that wasn't the reason for agitation. It was much deeper than that. That was just like...
That was the excuse you gave me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking, I just bought this flashlight. And I know it sounds stupid, but I bought it specifically to be out to sea, to help find Anubis. It's like 2,000 looms, super powerful. I paid some money for it, but I wanted that flashlight in case Anubis goes over the side, because I know it,
Which he's done a couple of times
already. And thank God it's been during the day. But I was agitated by that, but that wasn't the origin of my agitation.
Yeah. So I just kind of realized the sense of or the state that he was in.
Yeah.
And I sat down and just kind of let him do his thing, let him be him for a bit. You wandered around, you looked in the house, you looked outside, you looked up at the front of the house.
And the funny thing is, I mean, it's a $40 flashlight, whatever it was. I could have easily bought another one. But because I was already agitated by the day, I made that like, I'm going to find this flashlight. Now, I wasn't swearing. I wasn't really upset like that. But you could just.
You was edgy. I could feel
edgy,
it.
yes. Oof. So she sat down on the couch and I sat down and I said something like, "Hey, how was your meditation?" or whatever it was. But
you said, "Did you meditate?"
Yeah, did you meditate
at the park?
Yeah, and then she was like, "No, but I did what I wanted to do," and that kind of struck a nerve with me. And of course, I said, "Well, can't you tell me more? Or is that how you answer questions or whatever?" But it was just.
Yeah, but you were like, there's a little more edge in your voice.
I was a lot more edgy. I'm not gonna. Yeah. I don't even want to do that now. But yes, I mean, on a scale of like edginess, 1 to 5, I was a solid 4.
Yeah.
But she said something to me that caught me off guard and kind of de-stressed, the air in the room. And she said something like, "Keith, I don't know where you're at right now, but I'm trying to find a middle ground." And that kind of reeled me in because I'm thinking, wait a second, man. She just walked in the house, had a 6-pack of beer for me. I'm struggling through the day. Why am I taking out on her?
Well, before I said that, though, I think I said something like, "Is this what we're going to do?"
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're agitated. You're in a bad place. And you're going to basically pick a fight with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where we're going.
And I mean, that just kind of like stopped me. And I realized, oh, what is going on? Because I mean, 95% of the time, I'm very easy to be around.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm very loving.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, so that's when you came, or we were sitting there, and you got up, you went down the hall. I thought you were going to take a shower, so I started looking at my phone. You came back, I put my phone down.
Yeah.
You sat down. I'm like, where are you at? Like, are you here to have a conversation with me, or are you taking a shower, or what are you doing? I'll meet you wherever you are.
And I didn't know. I honestly did not know where I was at. I was just lost in this whatever you want to call it. So I had to kind of like settle down. But that whole thing lasted. I mean, even sleeping last night, it wasn't good sleep.
The other piece is that you've been agitated with yourself for over serving so many other people, not taking care of yourself. You have not taken the time to catch your breath. You've been working on the boat, you've been working on the van, you've been helping other people, and you've gotten tired. We have this expression where we like, I know I use it, where my sponge gets full. Like there's been so much there are times when I have so much going on in my life that I'm so saturated, I cannot tolerate anything else. And I have to wring out the sponge, which means be alone, basically.
Yeah.
And like, let some of the moisture go away. And I think you said last night that your sponge was full.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah, it's hard for me to get to that point sometimes because typically, I don't get to that point a lot.
Not often.
But
when you get there, just like me, when
place.
I'm there, it's not a good place.
Anubis has been, he's right by my side pretty much 24/7. So sometimes in certain situations, he can create stress where I think that he's in intimate danger of getting hurt, especially on the boat. And like yesterday, he pulled a stunt on me. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but under the right circumstances, he could cause himself to get hurt, or even the both of us. And that builds after a while. It's kind of like I need to do shit, and he's got to learn to, like, if I tell him to stay or to not move, it's important. So I just felt like things yesterday were just compounded by other issues, and to be honest with this video, I'm worried about my oldest daughter. I typically don't talk about my children on videos, so I'm not going to start here, but a lot of you people have children, so when they're under duress or they're under stress or whatever, you you're a parent, you feel that, and it just seems that, my oldest daughter and I have not always had the best relationship. It's been a struggle. So I have been trying to be more aware and more what's the word I'm doing? Supportive of her in like when she calls and stuff, because there was a point where we couldn't really talk. So I don't want to drag this out, but I worry about her. And the one thing I've been trying to do is when I know she's in need, I make sure that I'm accessible to her. Does she need $100 or $50, whatever? And I'm not wealthy, so sometimes when I stretch my finances, I might be buying stuff for the van or doing stuff for this or whatever. She might catch me like right before payday, and I get blindsided, and then and I typically don't say no to anyone, never mind my kids, and it just hurts. It's heavy, and right now she's struggling, and it was very funny yesterday when I got up. I felt this heaviness, and it's always been the same all my life, that I can kind of sense that something is coming down the pike, and it's not going to be great. Jennifer says, "Well, use the universe. Think whatever," and sometimes I try to do that, but the feelings that come are so overwhelmingly. They're like warning signs. I don't know, but I know that something is over the horizon, and I kind of got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, you have a really strong sense of intuition when it comes to like gloom coming. Yeah. Unfortunately, is always right on target.
Yeah, I'm good with that dark side stuff.
Yeah,
But anyway, so I've been worried about my daughter. That's been heavy, and it's so weird that your kids, they don't mean to do any of the things that they're doing that can kind of like throw parents off kilter, but
yeah, it happens to me for sure.
Yeah,
I think it happens to all parents everywhere. Very relatable.
Yeah. So anyways, Jennifer got me a great book for you guys that want to know about it. It's by Eric Schmidt, and it's called The Black Tulip. And it's about Eric Hartman. And we finally waited like 2 weeks to get this book.
No,
right?
I ordered the book from Amazon and accidentally had it shipped to the house that I sold.
Yeah.
And then it went from there to the mail service that we pay for to collect our mail. But for some reason, there was postage due. So they didn't deliver it there. They dropped it off at the local post office, and I had to call them. And they said, well, you can come in and pick it up. And I said, well, I won't be in Maine until next summer. So what's option B? And long story short, they're sending it back to Amazon, and I just reordered it and had a new copy sent. But anyway.
I got that yesterday. So I started
he's very happy. He's been waiting a long time.
Yeah, I've been wanting this book for a while. But
so what do we want people to take away from this little experience?
That we had?
Yeah,
today?
The experience that we had yesterday. Like that little struggle, like, I mean, I think part of it is that trying to catch ourselves when we're agitated and irritated by one thing, but it's so easy to take it out on somebody else.
Yeah, and I what can we take from that? I mean, the warning signs are there. So if I'm not trying to say if you're a good or bad partner. It just depends how busy you are. But Jennifer was paying attention. And it wasn't like she walked in the house and I said, where the fuck is my flashlight? I didn't say that. No. I just said, I'm looking for my flashlight. And it sounded nonchalant.
Well, it wasn't exactly that either.
It was in the middle.
I can't find my flashlight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it'll show up. No, I need to find it right now.
Yeah.
I'm going outside. Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, long story short, I think, you have these triggers. Mm-hmm. And you can see them, and so she realized right away I wasn't good, and I was too caught up in the shit. It's like being stuck in like this turbulent surf on a beach. Like I'm trying to swim out of this riptide, but I don't even know I'm in one yet until she acknowledges that, hey, Keith, you want to go there?
Because we could go there and it could get ugly.
Yeah,
but we didn't. We caught ourselves.
Well, she just brought that out. So I mean, I think that's the important part of being a good partner. Not only can you tell when your partner's in a good place, you can tell when they're in a bad place. Mm-hmm. And then if you have respect for each other, you can kind of like take a deep breath. When I was younger, I wasn't like that. If I was in a really bad mood, it was very hard for me to get out of it. And I could say things that I really didn't mean. But as soon as Jennifer kind of went like this, hey, Keith, get over here, I was able to kind of refocus my mindset a little bit and say, hey, I don't need to talk to her like this or to have this kind of attitude right now. What's going on in my head is my head. So this is the person I love. I don't want to like drive her away. She came home to see me, brought me a 6-pack of beer and a big smile. Hey, honey, how are you? And I'm like, she doesn't deserve that. If you're going to be a good partner, male or female, you don't do that to your partner. So, I mean, it happens. That's why we're sharing. It does happen.
God knows I've had grumpy moments when my sponge is full.
Yeah, but you don't have to like implode it. You don't have to pour, fuel on the fire. There's just no reason. And that's pretty much what happened had, I continued that mindset.
And we did such a good job of diverting ourselves or like saving the situation because we ended up talking about it. And then you had a beer, I had a glass of wine. We sat on the couch. We watched an episode of, what are we watching now?
Sinner.
The Sinner on Netflix.
Yeah.
So
it was really
very
good.
suspenseful. If you want a good Netflix binge.
Yeah. Kind of looking at it from, it could have been just a shitty night, but there we were an hour and a half later, sitting on the blanket, close to each other, like partners are supposed to be, like friends, that you say, I love you, and you put rings on your finger. And we were back to normal. We went to bed and we read our books and we cuddled and fell asleep and, did it with a level of respect without being mean to each other, dragging it out. She's the smart one in the relationship. So she sees a lot more than I do because I am I can be very emotional and short triggered, and I have to be honest. So you're
just as smart, but different ways.
In a different way, you know what I mean. So, but she brings out you do bring out that side of me that I want to gravitate to because I'm very combative at times. I'm like, I'm ready to drop an F-bomb or whatever. But she puts this human side of me that I haven't had a chance to use as much as I want. So. Make me a better person, Bubba. I appreciate it.
I love you.
I love you too. So,
all right.
That's it. We don't want to make this any longer. It's a wrap.
So we'll be back after the election and let you know what we're doing.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves out there, folks.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Complex Couple Podcast. For our latest t-shirts, tanks, sweatshirts, and stickers, check out merch at thecomplexcouple.com. When you open your wallet, we donate 100% of profit to the National Alliance to End Homelessness. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week.